Perfect. All right. So this is something that I've been looking forward to, man. I think um we've been looking out, you know what I mean, trying to bring people on each week. Okay. We had Clint on last week. All right. And we had this, I wanted to have you guys on back to back because I think with Clint, he's such a systems driven, okay? And hearing him talk about his deal, what he does is a risk he takes, right? You might just start to go like, oh, you just, hey, just, all right, that could be a one off. Makes sense? But it's like, all right, well, then you got Dennis who knows Clint, right? Not from insurance or anything like that, but knows Clint and has said, hey, you know what? I'm going to do what you're doing. And I'm going to do it a little bit faster and get it a little bit sooner than you did. And when I say you did, I mean as in Clint, because that's what Dennis is doing. All right. And so to see him, to come in and not just only be a student of it, but be a I'm sorry, dude, we're going to put you on stage and say, hey, now, dude, you're a teacher of it. That's kind of how it rolls. You know what I mean? You're like, damn, dude, I was trying to make some money. It makes sense. And like, and listen to all y'all's training. But I'm like, dude, bro, you're putting up back to back 30 plus months. And you know what I mean? I know with that, you're dealing with stuff. So Dennis, I don't want to just talk about how great it is. I want to talk about some of the things you learned as a businessman along the way as well. Because I know you've been in business, made money, things like that. I don't know if you made money to this clip, right? Or where you see yourself going. So I'm excited to learn more about you. But Dennis, this group is, I think, the longest tenured agent on here outside of Bryce with Family First Life, maybe 8, 9 months here, maybe coming up on a year. Okay. So a lot of folks haven't even got their back end money, Dennis. You haven't even got your back end money. You're still rolling on first year in commissions. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it's true. Yep.
Okay. Which is a great place to be. But with that, bro, you got to dig in a little bit harder. Okay. And I want to know how you've attacked that, how you've made sure that you and your family weren't sacrificing, waiting for the next 25%. Makes sense. That's one thing I hate to hear is like, man, I can't wait till my back end money comes. I'm like, dude, the front end money is great if you just get it. Makes sense. You ain't going to worry about the back end if you just get the front end. You know what I mean? But if you ain't getting enough front end, you think about the back end. Makes sense. My back end was just like a surprise. It was like, oh, wow. Wow. Instead of getting paid 20 G's, I got paid 26. This is amazing. Makes sense? It wasn't the difference between me paying my bills or not. So that's what I see you doing. Your back end money is going to be cherry on the top. Makes sense? But you're making sure your first year commission deposit is doing its job. All right? Because everybody put a 1 in the chat or 100 in the chat if you want your first year commission to do its job. Okay? And be clear, back end, renewals, all that's freaking awesome. But let's make sure that our lead expense is turning into a direct ROI in our bank accounts. All right, and a realistic one too. Let's be real. All right, Dennis ain't going to teach you how to become a millionaire overnight. Okay, he's going to say some things about investing, working in the return that may rub you the wrong way. But the cool thing is, are you only if you're willing to do it? If you're willing to do it. Okay, so Dennis, no filters. Okay, tell us the real. All right. Tell us when it sucked. Tell us when it was great, but tell us why you're still here and you believe over the next 6, 7 months, you're going to be somewhere you maybe have never been or back to where you want to be. All right. So, but thank you so much for making this thing happen, dude, and joining us. All right.
Thanks for having me, Dom. I look up to you. I see a lot of stuff that you're doing. I think it's great stuff. I see your like social media stuff. I think it's great stuff. And everything that you put into like FFL. I think FFL culture is a lot about helping each other out, and you've always been about that. You've never been like a jerk or anything like that, and I think that's the crucial part of FFL. That's where everybody helps each other out, and it could be anybody, right? I mean, like you're up there, you're up there, you're up there. So
Well, I'm
and you're
humbled, bro.
accessible. Yeah, you're accessible. I could text you and I could be like, hey, what do you think? And you'll give me an answer. Right. And so that's pretty amazing. A little bit about my background. I did some business in Mexico. I was in Mexico for a bit. I grew up doing business, but nothing like this. I always thought about doing business was sorry, I have a cough here.
No
Um,
worries.
I always loved doing business with 10 clients instead of 100. I hate dealing with 100 clients, but now it's switched. Now I have to deal with, you know, hundreds of clients. It's a whole new game, right? But it's the same thing. You help people out, and that's what it's all about. You're a solution to people. So that's how it works. I mean, if you're not thinking about it, if you're not trying to figure out how you can help somebody, it's not going to work. If you're looking out for your commissions, it's not going to work. If you put them in a worse place, it's not going to work. Someone's going to come up behind you and just take it, right? So that's one of the things that always looking out for my customers. That's one of the big things. Yeah, I've been doing well. In the beginning, it was questionable, right? I came from a good income. I had a big business,
Okay.
um, and the pressure was on. Like, hey, can I sustain something and pay my bills? And I can't, right? In the beginning, I wasn't doing much. I think December I wrote a lot, submitted like 35, and IP was like 25 or something like that, and then Clint and I went to vacation in Colombia in January, and I was like, oh, that hurt. Right? So 2 weeks, no income. 2 weeks, nothing coming in later. 2 weeks, nothing, programmed for the beginning of January. It's like, shoot, I shouldn't have done that. I should have just kept grinding. And I grind. I mean, like, I'm not afraid to work. I'll work 7 days a week. I was sick the first, excuse me, I was sick the first week of June. I couldn't make it to Ignite. I actually drove out there with Clint to Phoenix. I flew back the next morning because I felt like crap. And then I got to make up for it. So what am I doing? Work Saturday and Sundays, 2 Sundays.
Dennis,
Uh,
when
two,
was your first? When did you start?
November 18th, 2024.
November 18th. All right. So yeah, I kind of I want to picture this, right? So when you say I came in, because most folks are coming here, and which is totally fine, and our goal is how fast can we get you to I paying my bills and seeing more, because the goal in being commission based sales is never to be a good bill payer. Okay. You can find a job that lines up with your bills. Everybody does it. People do it all the time. Okay. That wasn't the goal, but it is a good stepping stone to know within your first 60 days that this is going to pay my bills. Okay. So what did that look like for you? What did you need? Right. What did you need to make? Okay. And what did you make? And when you said it was a little shaky, what did those days, weeks, what did that look like? All right, because we want. I need to know when I want to recognize that when I'm getting there, or realize like, oh shit, like Dennis did it. That's where he was. You know, make sense. So like, what did that look like for you?
In the beginning, I got a lot of deposits in the beginning. It was like, I think like the first month of, I think like December, I was getting like 24,000 deposited.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, that's great. And then it slowed down in January, and I was like, ooh, that's not good. So I need to make at least like $20,000 a month, just pay for lead costs and then like family expenses around like
Yeah.
$10,000. So I got
Okay.
to make that right.
Boom.
And then last month I got 33
Boom.
deposited, not the IP. I mean like bank deposits.
Deposits. Thank you. Talk
Yeah,
deposits. Okay.
yeah,
Let's talk
bank
deposits.
deposits.
All. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So
So
33K last month. Okay. You need 10 to live. Okay. 10 to live. Okay. So now we're netting 20, call it about 20K. All right. 20 grand.
and like
Um,
10 on lead costs, 10,000 on lead costs.
there you go. All right. So netting about 15, 20K. Okay. And now you're in month. This is about to be
6 month,
July.
I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
About to be July. And what are, what's the lead expense going into that net right there? Okay. So
So I that those months were about 12,000 in leads when I was getting deposited like the 33
Each month?
in May. I just checked May.
So in May was 12,000 in leads.
Right.
Okay, let's go. All right, so 12 G's
So,
to net 33K, correct?
mhm. Yeah.
Okay. Is anybody look in the chat? Is there anybody in here who wouldn't do that? See, this is the part
And
of the
and
training
and
where I
so
was like, he's gonna say some things that you may not like, but I bet that would you now here's the hook to that. Okay. So now we're looking at $3,000 a week on leads. Okay. To deposit $10,000, $8,000, $8,000 a week net. All right. 3,000, deposit 7 to 8,000, net 5. Who's in for that game right there? Y'all like that game? That's the adult game. That's the now look, skill is gonna come in, but I promise you, just doing that, there's one piece missing right there. Because I know people who spend like that are maybe close to half of that, but they don't net nowhere close to half of that. Okay. The work you put in behind that. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about why that was. Talk about why you said after making $24,000 in deposits, why taking 2 weeks off was a bad decision.
well,
Okay.
I didn't
And,
I
and,
didn't
and
realize it at that time, right?
I know you didn't. Okay. I know you didn't. And dude, I made like $8,000 and I thought I was like, yo, I'm about to just, I'm about to go over here. I just, but what's the schedule? So let's talk the work piece right now. Okay. Let's talk the
Mm.
work. What does that look like for you? And how important is it this first year to stay so committed to your schedule?
So in the beginning, I wasn't good. So I worked a lot. I worked 7 days a week, easy. And I rolled out of bed at 5:30 in the morning, like got a call. I was in my underwear and I'd read a policy. I didn't care. Like I actually like slept in a certain room. That way I could wake up and just grind and not bother anybody, not wake anybody up. So that was it. I mean, like right now that's that, I concentrate a lot. I'm locked in. I don't, I don't my son's on here, Yvonne. One time he was like, "Hey, can I get a ride to the airport?" It's like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "Take an Uber." He was like, "Really?" I was like, "It's $1,000 if I miss a call. Take an Uber. That's $50, right?"
Yeah,
So
dude,
you just
like,
got to
dude,
do
I'm paying for it one way or another.
it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Dude.
So work ethic. So I listen to a lot of podcasts in the morning.
Okay.
I listen to a lot of training in the morning. Go to the gym, listen to training, work on the why, work on you know objections, right? Mental stuff, mind game, right? Mentality. Always got to train your mind, right? It's not just you're sitting at a desk. How are you going to prepare? I mean, you only get so many times to get an objection. How are you going to answer it? Well, you do the prep work before that. So next time I'm going to be ready. But if you're not ready and you're just doing it every day during the calls, it might take you a lot longer to figure it out.
Dude, this is good. Christina just asked, what podcast do you find that you get the most value from?
I listen a lot to Peter Roberts on YouTube. He has some great stuff. His tone, he works on tone. He works on objections. He works on how to figure out the why. He even tells you how to figure out, hey, if you're profitable or not. So there's a lot of stuff there that's like great stuff. Helped me out a lot. Like seriously.
Awesome. Our topic today, man, is identifying the why and closing. And the reason I thought about that um, with you is I hear you on live a lot. Okay. You're always on live. You're always sharing. You're always learning. And you always, something about the why in you, I know that it's very valuable to you because a lot of the questions you ask about things are pertaining to, the why and how this happens. And I know it brings a lot of value to the close. All right. And a lot of people go, well, how do you close? Or like, what tips and tricks do you have for closing? And I hear Clint a lot, and he hammers on the why and almost he doesn't move on from the why until it's like cemented in. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of the times we move on from the why when it's kind of like still like it's a slushy, like it's in there, but it's still kind of, you know what I mean? And but I see that's how Clint closes. That's how you close. You're very direct, right? But you can be very direct because the why is so solid. Okay. So hearing that topic, identifying the why and closing, what does that mean to you? All right. And walk us through that. And if anybody has any questions, please type them in here. Bryce, anything, do chime in. But this is a great place to be, man. I think where we are, all right, as a group,
Right.
and where I think that you got some expertise. All right. So
So
a lot of reps.
yeah, so throughout my whole business, everything that I've always done, I always focused on being a solution to my customers. You don't want to be a problem to your customers. You want to be a solution. They're filling out a form. They want a solution. It's that simple. So you got to figure out why, right? How are you going to help them? That's all it is. That's the longest time you should sit and marinate, not just check things off. Oh, okay, I want to make sure I get a burial expense taken care of. Okay. Oh, perfect. I got okay. And then move on. No, like why? Like have you had to deal with that before? Have you had to bury anybody recently? Great. Did they have coverage? Like my mom died. Sure. Did she have coverage? Right. No. How's that for you? How did you guys pay for that? Right. Really sink into that. Figure out how you're going to help them. Right. So they're like, yeah, she had insurance. Okay. As unfortunate that was, I'm sure that was a blessing for you, or no, she didn't have insurance. Oh, wow. How'd you guys do that? How'd you guys pay for that? Right. Oh, we had to do a GoFundMe, or we had to sell plates, or everybody had to chip in, or we had to max out our credit cards. Okay. I mean, do your kids have credit cards for you to max out for that? No, I don't want that. I don't want to leave that on my kids. Well, that's a good reason, right? And it's not always, and then we always get these people that want, 100,000. I just want 100,000. Give me a quote for 100,000. Sure. You know, we just got to remember it's what you qualify for, what you can afford. Why do you need it? I already have coverage. All right, I have 20,000. I want more. Ask the uncomfortable questions. Why do you think 20,000 is not enough? And they'll give you the answer. Oh, it's because you know, um, I have a house I got to pay for still. I don't want my kids fighting over stuff. Whatever. Okay. And then just dig into that. That's where the answers are. If you can solve that, it's a sale. That's all it is. Isn't numbers don't even mean much. I was listening to Jay Masca the other day. We were talking about mortgage protection. I was like, shoot, I'm gonna throw that in there. Just this lady called me. She was like, I want 270,000 in coverage. She was 72 and she had some heart issues or something like that. Right. Okay, cool. Why? Oh, figured out how much she needed, how much her mortgage was, um, why she wanted coverage. So she had two sons. One of the sons was gonna buy. Okay. And then I figured out for her. I didn't even quote her. I just said, sorry. She wanted to cover her funeral expenses, which is $10,000, right? And then I said, okay, so for 6 months of mortgage plus your funeral expenses, it's going to be $100 a month. She's like, okay, and then 8 months, your funeral expenses and 8 months of mortgage, it's going to cover that. It's going to be 100, I don't know, 140, and then a year of coverage, and it's going to cover your funeral expenses is going to be 160. How much time do you want the coverage your mortgages so that your kids are okay with that. They can figure out what they're going to do with your house. She's like, oh yeah, 6 months is fine. She didn't even ask me how much coverage it was because it was going to solve her problem, right? She's not even worried about it. Okay, my kids are going to have 6 months of mortgage and it's going to pay for my funeral expenses. Great, let's for $100, let's do it. So that solved her problem, and that's their why. When you can solve their why, you're in. But if you're so like they want 100,000, okay, I can quote you 50. Well, why are you quoting them 50? Like, do they need it? Can they afford it? What direction are we going? Right. So if it's not going to work for them, they're just, oh, 50,000 for $240. No, I can't do it. I'm out. Well, you're not being a solution. Maybe they could have solved that whole problem with $100 investment, but you got to figure that out. Figure out that why and how it's going to help them. That's all it is. Got to be a solution.
So hopefully, man, this is really good. Okay. Um, Kylie, we were talking. You asked a question about trust. Why? Building it. There, where do you get the most uncomfortable in that process? Do you hear that list of questions he was just asking and kind of just following up and digging in? Where where Dennis was going, do you feel you don't go or it gets a little uncomfortable? That you know what I mean? Where's that at?
For me, I would say just making it like more conversational. Like if like okay, if somebody gets on the phone and they're being dry, I'm like an energy person, so naturally just how I am, I'm dry kind of back. So it's like building that trust. If somebody's dry, you it's like breaking the ice. So I kind of struggle with that, and then we get all the way through, the script, and then it's just like, because they don't really have that trust with me. Or like even when I get to the end and I'm showing the numbers, that's where I kind of feel a little uncomfortable too, because it's like in my mind I'm like, okay, are these numbers good? Are they gonna go? Like I had that like that limiting belief, like are they really gonna go for these numbers?
Okay.
They told me their budget, and I just you know
So Dennis, when you hear Kylie, right, and I hear you, right, and I'm like, this is this is so value based the way you're presenting that. Then, like you said, the numbers don't matter. Okay. Did you guys hear that this lady said, how many clients do you guys have that get on the phone and tell you what they want? And then we tell them what they can't get or what they can get, and you don't make the sale. Anybody been there? Who's been there? I have two hands, and I won't put my feet up. That would be weird, but I would, okay? Because it's happened a lot. So it's the uncomfortableness of saying this is what when they say this is what I want, or maybe you assuming that, whatever it is, because sometimes our assumptions rub off on them, right? What we feel they should want, we kind of project. And then when we present something less than or something like that, we're almost feeling like we're not bringing value. Okay. But through Dennis's questions, he figures out that through the real value is them not losing the house and her being able to be buried. Okay. Or cremated, whatever the FX, whatever the final expense piece of that was. But in our mind, we're thinking mortgage protection. I heard you the other day you were on the phone with this guy. You said, well, so are you looking for this or mortgage protection? I'm like, how did mortgage protection ever even come up? You know what I'm saying? And you ain't got to tell me why. I'm like, dude, but I'm like, how? Like, I only have people who say mortgage protection after I educate them on it or they filled out a form that said mortgage protection on it. Never in the history of a vet lead or a final expense lead have they said, hey, I don't want that life insurance. I want mortgage protection. Never heard it. Does that make sense? They don't even it's a made up term that insurance agents know. Okay. So when you're building the value and the why, it don't even matter when you get to that presentation. If you feel yourself presenting something that you're unsure of, that's a big clue that we didn't bring the why. We didn't solidify the why. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Real big clue. of like, oh, if you feel a little bubbles in your stomach when you're about to say it's $172, that's because you don't believe it's going to solve their problem either. Or maybe you just don't know how, right? And we got to take a step back and figure out, okay, really, what is this 15, 20, 30, 100? What is it going to do for them? Versus not how much are they paying for it. Dennis, how do we help her out and everybody else get away from how much they're paying versus what the insurance is going to do for people?
Yeah, definitely. Kylie, you're getting great. By the way, I heard you. I think I helped you a few times, like
Yeah,
probably like
you
a
you
month or
helped me
two ago,
this morning too with the sale I got today. Yeah,
and you're really good. I mean, you're getting a lot better. So that's congratulations on that.
thank you.
And keep going because you're coming off mute. You're making things great. How do you deal with that? You just gotta really figure out like how it's gonna help them. Really,
Mm.
I mean, that's all it is. So not be afraid. Do you believe it? How you can help them? Because a lot of people sometimes we get on like, oh, it's going to be guaranteed issued. Like, oh, oh, it's one graded. Oh, I heard Eric Schmidt was like, he was helping somebody out, and he was like, great, they got coverage. They don't have coverage now. They're going to get coverage. That's great news. These people need it. Some people don't qualify for anything else, right? So if it's guaranteed issued, it's guaranteed issued. That's the best thing that they can get. I actually got a death notice this morning. That's my first, right?
Wow.
So I mean, they need it, right? That's what they're gonna. It's gonna help them, right? So it's not a bad thing at all. You're going to be able to, if you can convert that, how it's going to help them, what they're really looking for. I mean, $270,000 as a 72-year-old doesn't even make sense. Financially, it doesn't even make sense. No one's going to give that to her unless she's going to pay a lot of money.
Right.
So you just got to figure out, okay, she has a real issue. How is she going to solve that? And you just got to
Mm.
figure that out.
You guys understand? You said something earlier, and I don't know if I heard this right but a lot of our clients already have insurance. Okay. I think I just heard you really dig into the why of why do they believe they don't have enough.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is so big. Makes sense? I think if I'm gonna buy a car, they ask me a lot about the car that I have and why I want to get the hell out of it. Does that make sense? They don't just show me the car, the new like they're like, dude, okay, so they want me to speak on the stuff that like, yeah, we have a new baby coming, we need the third row, and it's just gonna be hard. Da 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 da. So now I'm selling myself on damn, you really do need to get out of this damn car. Makes sense? Even though we could have fit in the damn in the other car. All right. But I'm gonna sell myself on this. How important is that? And can is that what I heard? Did I heard you say that?
Yeah, for sure. You
Okay.
definitely have
So
yeah, they definitely
yeah.
have to sell themselves on it, right? So you ask them those questions, like, why do you think that's not enough insurance? Or
Uh-huh.
why do you think you need more? They'll tell you the answers. They'll give you the answers of why they want
What
more.
if they give you that? You ask me that, right? And I just go, yeah, well, I just figured, I just want to get a little. I just figure it'd be good to check out some extra.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. What do you want to make sure gets taken care of with that extra, right? And
Okay,
they'll give
well,
you that
my
answer.
Barry. Okay, see, I think this is the speed bump in the why. Is when you start to get these surface levels and you don't know how to really just keep that rolling. Okay. What do you do when you have those people that are that, hey, they're not really too open with you? Doesn't mean they're closed, right? They're not answering your questions, but they're not giving you the answers that you want on the forefront. How do you still get that why out of them, or how does that work there?
Uh, yeah, that question I think is key. What do you want to make sure gets taken care of with this policy? And they'll start to break down. And then if they're just giving you surface level answers, oh, just a burial, or I just want more. I just want more. Why do you want more? Or I just stop asking me all these questions. Okay, and just keep going with it. Then eventually you kind of sneak it in there. Hey, so what do you want to make sure gets taken care of with this policy? And then they'll give you the answers, and then just kind of sit in that. So one of the main things that we as insurance agents really need to do is let them talk. Let them talk. Just be quiet. Don't interrupt them because that's when they pour it all out and then repeat it to them. Okay, you want to make sure, your barrel gets taken care of. Okay. Do you have anything? But let them talk, right? If you talk over them, they kind of get you don't understand me. You don't want to hear it. Just let it marinate. That's so I think someone asked, do you follow a script? Right. So that's where in this spot, that why is where you don't follow a script, right? You have some basic questions you should ask, but that's the most open part because you can't really follow exact, because you don't know what direction they're going to go. But that's the most time you should sit in a in a presentation. Everything else is quick. That you have to marinate in that. That's where the sales at, and then bring it back up on the close. How is it going to help them? How's this going to be a solution for you?
Solution. You said let them talk. Okay. How about then it's being bold? Okay. What does that mean to you? Okay. And how have you grown in this business as it pertains to that? All right. And yeah, give us some if you have any stories or anything like that to maybe you when you were or when you weren't, and kind of what
Being
that.
bold.
Yeah, being bold. You know what I mean? And what does that mean? Yeah, what does that mean to you in your sales process?
Yeah, I'm not afraid. I go for it. I'm not. Well, first thing, I'm not afraid to buy leads. That's one of the things that,
That part.
yeah,
Yes.
you're gonna invest in yourself, right? Don't be afraid. I mean, go all in. You're gonna make your money back. Just don't be afraid. Being bold, you can't be afraid to ask certain questions. It's gonna be uncomfortable. It's gonna be uncomfortable, right? Those questions are, you know, have you had to bury anybody recently? How was that? Like your mom? Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. My condolences. How was that? Like, how'd you guys pay for that funeral? Like those are really invasive questions. Like, oh, I had to bury my kids. I'm so sorry. What happened? And did you guys have insurance? How'd you guys end up paying for that? And then they'll sell you why they need the insurance. They'll put the value in it themselves, right? And so you just kind of repeat what they said and let them know you understand what where they're going with this, why they need it.
Dennis,
Um,
I got. Oh, sorry. If you had more, I
go
didn't mean
for
to
it.
cut you
Go
off.
for it.
But dude,
No, go for it.
it's like, dude, this is it right here. Like, this is the part where it's like when we start asking these questions, like you said, clients sell themselves, and it's why anybody that sells at a consistent or at a high level, they're like, yeah, dude, this business is a lot of work, but it's not crazy. It's just like there's a couple questions that you ask, and that's it. So like was there a time when you weren't asking these, and what did you do to get good at start asking these questions? Because I think like, there's people on here that are kind of still doing the same things where like it's like intro part of the script, financial inventory, and then like we jump straight to like, okay, here's some numbers. And so there's this gap,
Right.
like you said, the why. And like you said, it's the hardest part because it's the most off script. So like what did you do to get good at those? Like and was there a difference between like, okay, I'm not really digging in and to digging in, you know what I mean? Like how
Yeah.
give these guys on like, here's what I did to get that part down so they can take this and go do the same thing.
Yeah. So the listening to Peter Roberts, he has one that says, how to figure out the why. I really did that. That helped me. I think that helped me like immensely. Coming off mute, Clint helps me out a lot. We're training new people now, and when they're not on, I'll be on or he'll be on. And he helped me the other day. Go back to the why. And boom, that was it. Oh, this is gonna help you like this. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, let's do that. Right, that's it. Right, so that's all it is. Right, we're so fixated on these numbers. Like, oh, I'm scared. Like $200, they're not gonna go for it. Like, it's not about the $200. It's about how it's going to help them. And that's all it is. If so, people do things on emotion, right? Imagine how much we spend on emotion. How many times we shouldn't do that, but we do it because we want to. You got to tap into that, right? How is it going to help them? Okay, it's going to make me feel good. Great. It's going to protect my family. Great. What are you going to do for your family? Anything. Okay. Well, $150 policies, that's what it's going to do. Are you in? What's your plan B if not? Then let them sit on it. Let them marinate on that. I don't have a plan B. Okay. Well, do you want to go for 25,000 or do you want to drop it down to 20? Right? Is that more affordable for you? Yeah, 20,000 sounds good. All right, let's see if we can get you approved. That's it. Make sense?
Dude, it makes a ton of sense.
I was just muted. Sorry. We said the why and the close. Do you guys just hear how he reiterated the why, right? And the close comes right after.
Mhm.
Like this isn't like, oh, let me find the why and then do a whole bunch of digging and 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 then close. It's I identify the why, I cement the why, and then I close them on what we're going to do next, which is I'm taking an application with one of the 18 carriers that I got, and we're gonna figure out a solution to the problem. Do you agree? Yep. Boom. The close isn't I got okay to do Americo. I got a okay to do this premium at this cost. That's not the close. The close is taking the why, cemented, and moving forward from there. Because after I cement the why, I can do anything after that. Is that fair to say, Dennis?
100%.
If I don't cement the why, which I've done a lot, and probably a lot of you guys have, dude, there's so many things that could happen if Americo doesn't come back at what I sold them on, right? How are you not selling them on the product versus the solution? Because I think this is big. There's so many different products, and underwriting is hard sometimes. Let's just be real, okay? You got to be really good at selling that solution over the product. How are you doing that?
I never mentioned anything about the carriers. I don't even think it's important. I hear a lot of agents like,
"Oh, Dennis, let's go."
I hear a lot of agents saying, "Yeah, this is an A-rated company. They've never missed out a payment. They don't care. They really don't care. Like it doesn't even matter. It's just how is it going to solve my problem? That's all it is." And what was the other question you had? That was it.
Dude, that was it. You know what I mean? Like this is so big. This is so big. We get so tied up in what Americo's going to do or mutual or how much it is. I'm like, dude, the solution has nothing to do with how much it costs.
Yeah.
But the solution does require you are more than a calculator. Can you be more than a calculator? Otherwise, AI would take our jobs, right? Ethos would be crushing it. Okay?
Yes.
Do you guys see? Okay, this is funny though, but like, do you guys see Ethos, right? It's about like, oh, we just market to our clients and they just do the whole application and yeah, it's just done. Bro, if we relied on Ethos' sales, bro, there would be nobody insured. Okay? There's something about the human that gets people to buy insurance. The human can pull the why. The human can dig in there. Now, is there going to be some people who just freaking buy insurance? Yes. Okay. But that ain't where you're going to get profitable. That's not the profitable zone for you. Okay. You know what I mean? So solution-based, dude. Oh man, that's the title of this right here. Solution-based selling.
There you go.
But it's hard to get solutions when you're uncomfortable, dude. And you're going to be uncomfortable on the way to getting solutions because you're going to need clear answers. So any questions folks got on here? If y'all want to chime in, say something, but this is fire, bro.
I have a question. So when I'm closing and I'm bringing back up the why, should I like ask more questions during that time or just restate the why, if that makes sense?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you just restate it. hey, so you were looking to make sure that your burial's taken care of, so that so your kids don't have to worry about that because they have their own little family and they can't they wouldn't be able to afford it. Okay, so this is what this a $5,000 policy is going to take care of your basic cremation costs, right? If you want to go to a funeral, I mean, you figure out which way you want to go, right? So $5,000 might just pay into your funeral a little bit. 10,000 is going to take care of you know most of your funeral expenses, right? And then if you want to leave some over, when you can go with a 15, which one are you most comfortable with, right? And then always ask them a question. Don't let them take over. And if they're like, oh, it's too much, okay, let's look for a lower amount. It's usually about price.
Yeah.
It's usually about price. Usually they don't have the money. If it's just general final expense, usually because they don't have the money, right? So you got to make them kind of figure that out. Like, hey, when you get your Social Security check, okay, we can set up for the third. That work. That way, you have some time. Make sure that money's in there and get some peace of mind. They're like, okay, well, yeah, right. It's usually about the money,
Okay.
not about they know they need it, right? They're gonna die.
One more question. Going back to like if you have someone on the phone that's kind of just like dry with you, what do you do to like kind of open them up and get them to talk a little bit more? Is that just going back to the why and asking them that?
Yeah. So just run your process, run your script, right? And ask them, hey, what do you want to make sure it gets taken care of? And then they'll start relaxing a little bit. Yeah, this and that. Oh, what happened there? Just ask them,
Okay.
right? People get bombarded with calls, so they are going to be a little bit defensive. But just be human. I think that's one thing is be human, right? You're not just reading a script. Just be human with them. And that's going to help them open up a little bit more.
Thanks, Dennis.
Yep.
Yo, here's a good question Dave got here. He said, will the why convince clients enough or make clients feel comfortable enough to give you their banking and social? Is that where you're going to earn that trust there?
So we do a process where we send them our like a contact card, like a business card. It's all I just text it to them. I send them my driver's license. I don't block it out. I send it with my home address and my birth date, and then I send them my insurance license, my state license. Right. So we also use a crank wheel. I think that's a really, really good tool. They really like being able to see your screen. And I present myself as I'm always like, hey, I'll be in the top right corner. Um, I can't see you. You'll be able to see me. This is my ID. This is my ID I sent you earlier. I just want to show you I'm a real person. And then so you're just gonna be my eyes. So I one of the tricks I do, let's just say with the Miracle app. So I'll fill out everything except for the social. So I'm showing them, this is what I'm doing. Fill out everything except for the social. And then have them, okay, you see that address? Can you verify everything's right there? They're like, yeah, perfect. Okay, let's see here. Your name, is it all spelled out correctly? Yeah, that's right. Perfect. Okay, what's your social? So they're actually part of the application and they're filling things out and they're checking, making sure everything's right. And then you ask them for the social. Well, it only makes sense, right? I don't get much kickback from social or banking anymore because I use those tools.
Mhm.
Crank wheel is awesome.
I love it. Kim has a question here. How'd you get to the point of being so confident in your presentation in closing?
Um, Good question. Just I don't know. I just got more experience. It's getting more experience coming off mute. My numbers are good. I mean, I've done the last 3 months IPs over 40. I did 46 IP last month. So I mean,
Oh,
it's you know, it's good, right? I can't I came out running. I don't know what happened. I mean, and I think the selling part is just the easiest part. I think it's so easy. I think it's honestly, I don't mean to like be stuck up or anything. I think it's stupid easy. Like it's not, you just got to put in the effort, um, know your script, understand it, why you're saying things, right? How it's going to help them, even in the script, how is it going to help them? Make sure that they understand like how you're going to help them, and then just roll with it. Buy leads, and if you're doing 20, you want to do 40. Well, double your work, like more leads and more time, or get better. I
Okay.
This month I actually dropped my lead spend, and I'm doing about the same. So that's pretty awesome.
That
Because you'll
is
get
awesome.
better. You know what I mean? You'll get
Get
better.
better.
Your comp goes up, right? You start getting higher comp. Dude, this, and to echo what you said, dude, anybody who says this business is hard, you're lying to yourself.
It's
Okay?
hard that you gotta like sit there and do it. That's the hard
Dude,
part,
Yeah.
right?
dude,
I'm used to like I used to work on a, like I'd go fishing, and I could text and work at the same time. Now I have to sit here and like make calls. That's hard. Like sit by yourself and make calls. That's hard.
Yeah.
Getting hung up on, or losing one, mentally, that's hard. Going a few days without a sale, that's hard. And then come back and do like a 10K day, right? And then next day not sell anything. And that's like, oh, what happened? Right?
Yeah.
It's all mental. But just show up and do it every day, and it just compounds. It's crazy. It's so insane how fast you can grow in this industry. Um, I mean, if I wanted to do what I was doing before, I'd have to have at least $1 million in machinery to like
mm,
start it up again,
Wow.
right? This you just, if you have a few $1,000s for leads and just make a sale, come back, buy more leads, compound it. That's all it is. Put in the work, show up. Don't take time off because you did 3 sales. You got to keep at it.
Going. Yeah.
and
Definitely.
this was November you started, right?
November 18th, yeah, of 2024.
All right. Just got a license. So I'm just be very clear, you guys. Like, it's nothing crazy within 90 days be netting
No,
$20,000 a month at
no.
all.
That'd be amazing for
You know what I
me.
mean? Like, at all. Like, you guys, we call people who filled out forms for insurance. We call folks who give a damn about their family. And we sell them something that's going to help the people they love the most.
And they're all gonna die.
And it's not even sales, in my opinion, is like the people in the middle of the mall. Like, you know what I mean? Like the funny salesman, like he just be spraying stuff on people's shoes and then cleaning them and then ask them did they want to buy it? Like, that's sales. This is just being this is being a good order taker. Like, I figured if Domino's had like pizza delivery driver of the year, I bet you all it would take was for that person to work the most hours. Would y'all agree with that? Do you think anybody has their route that figured out, or they just got their pizzas getting made that fast to where like they're that much better? No, dude. And I'm being facetious, but this is not the only thing that separates anybody in this business is do you go to work?
Yeah.
Just like the pizza delivery guy. I delivered more pizzas than you, which is why they call me the best. How'd you deliver more pizzas? I worked more hours than you. Oh, got it. That's the difference. If you're like, man, I started about the same time as Dennis. He just worked more hours in those times. That's it. That's it. And when you work more hours, you start getting more results. And when you start getting more results, you're able to invest more in your leads. You start to believe more in yourself.
Especially when the money's coming in. Yeah, of course.
It just starts rolling. But if we're skimping out and we're up and down with our lead investment or the time that we're putting in, then it gets real tough. So Dennis,
I got
thanks
a
a
question
lot.
real quick. Are you
Yeah,
are
dude.
you
Finish it
on
up.
like a recurring lead order, or do you actually buy leads every week?
So I have somebody doing leads for me on Facebook, and they're instant leads, high intent leads. So that's what we
But you're
run.
not like physically
Clint,
going, okay, I have to think about it and buy leads this week. Like you pay regardless, right? Like there's
they have they have I pay a retainer. They have my credit card
that
and
part.
just run
Okay.
it. I set a limit on it, like $300 a day, and that's what they
How
run.
far into the business were you when you went from like, okay, I'm gonna like physically like go buy leads to that thing where like that's basically the same thing as an auto recurring order, right? Like at what point did you
Yeah,
do that?
so I do whatever Clint does. It just he said do this and I did that. That's all it was. I mean, it's pretty crazy. Like I don't know. Some people say I sound like Clint when we're doing the script. Um, we have the same script obviously because we run it the same way. Everything I know, he taught me. And so how long did it take me? I started on his leads on the 18th. I got a sale on the 19th, the 20th, the 21st on old leads, and then I started my own leads on December 1st. That's it. I said it. I can do this. I mean, he's doing it. It's not that. I said I didn't think it was that complicated. I was just like, let's do it,
As you shouldn't,
and we
yeah.
did it.
Yeah,
Right.
it's great.
So
I
yeah,
got a quick
I went
question.
all in right away. Yeah.
Real quick, Dennis, kind of talking about what Bryce just said about the leads. Now, I think a lot of people kind of hear you spending like 12 grand, and that sounds to a lot of people very scary. But how did you overcome? Because when you first started, your first month or two, I'm sure you didn't drop 12 grand. I mean, I'm sure you probably started out, half of that or whatever. But how did you overcome that fear of buying leads, seeing that you're making that ROI? What did you do?
So I used to do seafood business, and we'd have to buy a container of like sea snails from like West Africa, and it took them 4 months to get here, and each container was about $120,000. And you always had to have a container in the water so that in the ocean, so that when one comes, you have more coming, and it's everything timed out.
Mm.
Like dropping $5,000 for leads and and then like doing 10 or 15 off of that, it's like stupid, right? It's like, of course you're gonna do that,
Yeah,
right?
Respect.
Like that's so
get going.
it's right. It makes sense. So yeah, if you're dropping $1,000 in leads and you're selling, $3,000 or $4,000, okay. Well, how
Right.
much do you want to make? How much do you want to make? Because that's how much more you got to invest in it. You're gonna make your money back, right? So just drop more into it. Don't be afraid.
The more you put in, the easier it gets.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It just gets easier. So Jason, it's like I'd say, let's say overcome it. Go out there and start selling. You know what I mean? Just go out there and start selling and start proof to you. After you did it once, all I needed was Mutual of Omaha. That was the carrier that was paying us at the beginning. They put $517 into my account after my first deposit.
Right.
When I saw the money hit my bank account, it wasn't real before me. It wasn't real. So it took me like a good week or so before it was real because it took a long time for us to get paid back then. But when it hit my bank account, I was like, oh shoot, I can literally make this happen. Like I
In
did
3 days.
Like, you know what I mean? I was like, oh my God. So that took it all away from me. There was no fear anymore as it pertains to buying leads. So you may not have all that to start, okay? But you will
Run old
soon.
leads.
And
Run
if you
old
don't,
leads.
you know what I mean? And you're an adult, makes sense. I was like 22, 23 years old. People were like, yo, you have a credit card. I was like, I ain't got no damn credit card. Like, impossible. But if you're an adult, you should have a credit card or you could apply for one. But it wasn't smart for you to apply for one because you didn't have a way to generate income. So you were like, I'm about to get this damn money and then use it and then owe them way more than what I started with. Okay? I understand you. It made no sense for you to have a credit card with your skill set at that point in time in your life. Okay? But now, go get that credit card. Go get it. Because that may be the push you need to learn the skill. Make sense? That may be you know what I mean? So be clear. There's many ways to go about this, right? But Jason, I think your question is purely about just belief in what's possible. You know what I mean? And I think you limit yourself if it's based on some of those things. So go get that credit card, everybody. Does that make sense? Like, who cares? You've made much worse decisions than going to go get out a credit card and banking on that you're going to go out there at an 80+% commission and make some damn money. Come on. All right. My mom used to, I remember we put a damn TV on layaway or like we rented one. I rented like growing up. And it was probably the dumbest thing we could ever do. But that's like we do stuff like that, but we won't get a credit card to fund our business. It's the wildest thing. I'm just saying, like, let's be smart about this. All right. So Dennis, close this out with something proper, baby. All right. I'm ready for the weekend.
For sure. Yeah. So for sure. And earn those points on that credit card as well. Right. That's what I do. I just have it, reoccurring. And I mean, they pay me, I pay them, I put some aside for whatever. And then I have I actually have two bank accounts. One is just like the Americo and Mutual of Omaha that pays for all the expenses. And then the other carriers go to another account and just kind of sits there. And so I cheat
Oh,
with
that's
that,
right,
right?
because you pay yourself. Is that right? Just because you're
I
paying.
take money out. Yeah. Yeah, I
Okay,
take money
that's
out.
smart.
I pay for all my expenses. Yeah, for sure. So the most important thing is the why, right? That's where the money's at. That's where the sales at. Be a solution for your customer, right? You never want to be a problem for them. If you can solve that and you can be a solution and you can really figure out how to put them in a better place and not we've heard so many cases where they're in a graded policy but they shouldn't be in a graded policy, right? Or somebody sold them that something that was way more expensive. That's not going to help. Someone's going to come up behind you and they're going to take you out, right? Out of those 100 calls that they get a day. So be a solution for them, put them in the right place, really, really understand why they need it. And that's the answer. Once you figure out why they need it and how it's going to help them, that's all the sales. That's where the sales at.
That's it, and that's all,
Yeah.
dude. Dennis, thanks a ton for taking the time. Cost him $1,000 to do this training for us today. So give him a shout out. Did y'all hear that at the beginning of the call? He kind of let us know how much we should have been paying him at the beginning.
Right.
So I heard that, bro. All right. I heard it, but we got your back, bro. Anything you need, bro, let me know. Thanks a ton. And there's going to be a lot of you guys on here sharing what you're doing 30, 60, 90 days from now. Exactly the way you're doing it, brother. And I'm looking forward to see you getting your Hall of Fame jacket too, because you're rocking. You're rocking. Let's go. Good job, baby. Later.
Thank you.